Hey everybody, it's me, Jake from Jakin.Off. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. This week I am joined by a very special guest, good friend of mine, funny comedian. Give it up for Carlos Chamon, everybody. Let him hear it. That's the sound of Ron Paul shooting black children. That's the shot.
You're doing the Kendrick Lamar.
Dude. No, that's what Ron Paul's dreams sound like. Carlos reenacting Ron Paul's dreams. So anyways, this episode we talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, libertarians. Those boys, them fellows. Them fellows goofy. I love them so much. They're so dumb. They're so fucking dumb. And we talked about it today. It was a fun episode. Carlos, did you have fun?
I had a great time.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Thank you for having me.
I don't have a gun pointed at Carlos. In my pocket, it's just a gun pointed at you. Like, you better fucking say you had fun.
Yeah. I need the reviews. Come on.
But yeah, we talked about sort of the current state of the Libertarian Party in lead up to our visit here at Jakin.Off.Podcast to the Missouri Libertarian Convention of the year of our Lord 2025. So yeah, enjoy the episode. You can follow Carlos on social media at just Carlos Chamon.
Yeah.
At just Carlos Chamon. Link in the description. And yeah, follow him. Go see his stand-up show. Check out the Fountain City Comedy Festival. Link in the description. It's gonna be a good time. I'll be there. It's gonna be great. We love it. We love it so much. I don't know. Brett's trying to tell me something important. Just say it into the mic, dude.
Like, subscribe, and follow. Rate and review. It helps the show gain traction so much. If you're a regular, one of our 9 regular Jakin.Off heads, like, dude, subscribe, follow, please, comment, share.
Please. If you're on YouTube, definitely. If you're watching this, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Do they still use bells?
I don't know. Yeah,
it sounds right. Hit that bell.
Hit that bell. Ring that bell. Ring that bell of liberty, and send anything at all to Jakin.Off.Podcast at gmail.com. You can follow us at Jakin.Off.Podcast. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning into the episode. And have a good listen to the episode.
Oh, won't you take off with me? Oh, I know it's your fantasy. Oh, won't you take off with me? Yeah, we're taking off every week.
Honestly, like, I hope it helps you because usually, like, if it was just over 5, then maybe it won't be as helpful. Because I bet mine was 80.
I bet that normally I'm worse.
Really
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude, it was really bad.
80?
Like, how many sleep studies did you do?
Just one.
Oh, okay. Because I did 2. I did one at home to like unlock the one in the hospital. And
to unlock,
I think it was like to because to get it prescribed or something. I don't know why, but yeah, they had to do the home one.
Yeah,
and then but when I did the hospital the next morning, the sleep tech was like, dude, we could have diagnosed you from your home one because like 80 is so high that it's like, we don't need you to sleep at the hospital. Like you need the help, like fucking.
Yes.
So, no, but now I have my little app, dude. You should get the app. It like
that's
tells
what
you
everybody,
what
dude. I've been looking on Reddit.
Dream Mapper.
80 is crazy, dude. I haven't seen anybody say they have 80.
Yeah, it's
that's probably did like fucking save you, dude.
No, it literally did because like I also have GERD, so like
what is that?
Gastroenter. It's
like acid reflux kind of shit.
Yeah. So I have to take daily medication for that, dude. Damn. So when I don't, and I like because. This is all new, right? But like before, I was just raw dogging life without it. So like my heart shit was so bad. Like because I also like
it gives you high blood pressure. Sleep apnea can give you high blood pressure because you're stopping and starting.
You're just not getting enough breathing. Your circulation is not good, dude. And I also like in college, I accidentally I had mono, but I didn't know I had mono. And I went to a doctor, and it was the campus doctor, and they were like, "You have I don't know something that," but they gave me antibiotics.
Yeah,
and you're not supposed to take antibiotics if you have mono. Turns out, because I went through this thing where it was like day 1, I had like chest kind of like pains. I was like, that's weird. And then like day 2, I could feel like tingling in like my left arm, and then like day 3, I just couldn't feel it. So I was like, what the fuck? So I went to the health center, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So then they put me in like this room, and I remember they like measured my heart. So they're like, yeah, dude, you're like, it wasn't like cardiac arrest, but like I was getting like cardiac like palpitations or something. It was fucked up. Anyways, they like
arrhythmia,
some shit like that. Yeah. And then they like, I remember just waiting there, and like I kind of like passed out, and then I woke up and like the lights were off, and I was like, what? And then I heard the doctor be like, "Hey, like it was like Skyrim, like you're finally awake." I was like, "Why are you? Were you just watching me sleep?" Like, and they were like, "Turns out you have mono." So
forget Legend of Zelda. This is Legend of Carlos.
Yeah, dude. Breath of the.
It's been 100 years.
We need you to save us. Yeah, dude.
Breath of the Mild.
Oh my. Oh.
That's crazy, man. Fucking holy shit.
But anyways, so I have like heart shit that I have to like deal with. I'm convinced I'm gonna die of like a heart problem for sure,
dude.
But anyways, that's why the sleep apnea thing really helped, and then the GERD stuff too.
When I was 8 years old, I had to have heart surgery because I was born with an extra node on my heart. Okay. And so like your nodes are like what makes, they send the electrical like signals to your heart to make them beat.
Okay.
And I had an extra one, so every so often, it wasn't working all the time, but it would kick in and would start like, it would
get
make
like supercharged.
I would get like, my resting heart rate would go up to like 200 beats a minute.
Holy shit,
like,
dude.
I would be sitting in class as a third grader. So how we ended up figuring it out, it took them forever to figure out what was going on because it wouldn't happen all the time.
Sure, yeah.
And so when it's not happening, it's tough for them to be like, you know, what is it? And so the first day that I said anything to really anybody about it, I was in the 3rd grade, and I went up to my teacher and I was like, hey, I'm having trouble breathing.
Yeah.
Like I'm having a hard time breathing. And she was like, no, you're not. Sit down. Like you're not having trouble breathing. And it was like a day where we went to the other teacher's class for a day and the other teacher's class or whatever. So it wasn't even like my actual teacher. And so she's like, go sit back down. And then I went up to her again like 5 minutes later. I'm saying, hey, listen, like I'm having trouble breathing.
Yeah.
You know, I get that I'm in 3rd grade, but
like
this could be real.
Yeah.
And you ever seen a 3rd grader have a heart attack?
Yeah. And so she sent me to the nurse's office, and the nurse was like, oh my God, holy shit. Like, the
nurse figured it out?
Like, your heart is beating very rapidly. She called the ambulance, and the ambulance took me to the hospital. I went to the emergency room. They gave me this medication. Or no, they took me to the emergency room, and by the time we got there, I was out of it. Yeah. It was done. It had passed. And so they're like, we don't really know. Like, we don't know. You'll probably need to go to like a cardiologist. Sure. So 8-year-old me, I have a cardiologist appointment where they're trying to like trigger this thing to happen again, and they don't know what it is.
Scary.
Like prodding,
dude. One of the things that they did is they put a bag of ice over my face. I don't know if you've ever had that done to you. It like starts to suffocate you immediately because you're like the air is like
you
cold.
got waterboarded by your doctor, dude. Like,
dude, yeah, because they were trying to get me to like go back into it.
That's so funny.
And it didn't work. Nothing would work, and so they're just like, okay.
For nothing.
They were trying to put your heart under like so much stress that it would kick in.
Well, they didn't know what was wrong. They were like, we can't figure it out. That's what they did. I don't know, bro. But they then they were like, just sent me home, and they were like, look, like when it happens again, make sure you say something. And the next time it happened, I said something. The ambulance came, took me to the hospital. When I first got to the hospital, they gave me this medicine through an IV that was like, it literally felt, the doctor said to me, or the nurse or whoever, it was a doctor. He was like, okay, we're going to give you some medicine now. It's going to feel like you're on a roller coaster and you're going to throw up. And I was like, I was so scared, dude. I just rode in an ambulance. I don't want to puke. The lady was like a nursing student who went to administer the medicine.
No.
Squirted it all over my face. And so then they still had to like do it again. And then, dude, it seriously felt like within moments of them injecting this into the IV, I felt like I literally felt like I went on the drop on a roller coaster and I fucking puked.
That's insane. What is that, dude?
I don't know what it was. I've still to this day have really no idea. But yeah, Brett, you know what? Go look that up, dude. Brett, Google that, please.
That's like.
But yeah, man, and then I had to stay in the hospital for like 4 days, and they did surgery on me, and like my dad was fucking with me like on the way into the surgery. Like they're literally wheeling me down, and he knew that I was scared of needles. God, dude, I still like have a fear of needles. Yeah. And he was like, the needle they're going to have to like poke you with when you get down there, like 4 nurses have to carry it in on their shoulder. Like that kind of shit. Like he's like, it's so big.
That's fucking insane, dude. Why would you do that?
I don't know, man, but it is kind of funny. It is pretty funny. Arguably hilarious thing to do to your child.
They will you. It's like, before you go, you're adopted.
Yeah, but I had a surgery on my heart when I was 8. And then, yeah, constantly I'm worried about dying in my sleep.
Yeah, dude.
That's like a big like fear of mine.
How's your cholesterol?
My cholesterol isn't terrible, but it should be better.
Okay, so it's high, but it's
not
like
high enough that
high.
I have to take medicine.
Right.
Yeah. My A1C has been down, dude. Even though I gained a little bit of weight back, my diabetes number still went down.
That's good. Yeah.
Not too shabby. The weight's all from depression. You know what that means?
Homegrown weight.
Yeah, it's depression weight. But enough about our health, dude. We don't need to talk about our health. We don't need to talk about the health of our bodies. What we need to talk about is the health of our nation, dude.
Oh, great. Yeah, this is I've been waiting for this.
Dude, today we're going to cover a topic that I feel like in various ways I've covered it already, but never this directly, and never with this much sort of like groundwork. But today we're going to talk about libertarians, Carlos.
Okay.
How are you familiar with libertarians? What do you know about libertarians, Carlos?
So I first learned what a libertarian was in college once I moved to America.
Yeah.
And
that sounds about
it was pitched to me as Republicans who like weed.
Dude.
So
perfect.
This is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so like, because what you need to understand is that like at the time, like when I left Bolivia, we were under like a heavy socialist government, and it was like it very kind of like authoritarian and stuff.
Yeah.
And so like I come into America, first of all, because Democrats are a right wing party, right?
Yes.
So
yes,
I'm just like,
yes.
it's right wing and right wing.
Yeah,
so like whatever, it's if they're the ones that like weed, that sounds pretty good to me. You know?
Yeah, weed's the most left wing issue that's allowed to, especially at that time, that's allowed to even be discussed in American politics.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
exactly. No, it still is the little like carrot at the end that's like, ooh, we'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll fucking do it. I mean, that's why they never will.
Right.
But yeah, no. But I will. What I do know is based on the political compass, which is like arguably like, is it real or not? But it kind of makes sense. Like, now I know they're the anarch. No, because authoritarian. Yeah, they're the anarchist.
Yellow. Yeah, the yellow bottom right hand corner of the political compass. Our good friends, the libertarians.
Yeah, exactly.
Carlos, besides the Republicans who like weed, how else were they trying to pitch libertarianism to you?
Well, so the thing is that became into a slippery slope of like, it's not that they liked weed, it's just that they didn't like regulations.
Yes.
Right? And that is kind of when I got off board, because I think sometimes we need some regulations.
Yeah, dude. You know what we call that, Carlos? Being a reasonable person.
Yeah.
It's called being reasonable, being regular. So we're not going to go too deep into like discussing the nitty gritty of the ideology, just because I don't think that that's too interesting. But I mean, I do think it's interesting. I don't think that it's a comedy podcast interesting.
No, we can't.
Yeah. Let me talk to you about John Locke. No, one of the core things that's important to understand about libertarian ideology is that they believe that your rights, specifically property rights, right? That they are like, maybe some of them believe that they're bestowed upon us by God. Maybe some people believe that we have them through just sort of natural law, like some sort of like it comes from nature. Like if you're maybe not religious, that would be like how you would articulate it. But that these rights are like sort of inherent as human beings, that we all have like rights specifically about property and like, ownership. Ownership, that kind of thing. The other core thing about libertarians is the non-aggression principle, which, they have a pretty narrow definition of what aggression is, I would argue. I mean, they're like, no war, basically, is like that, what that is. But like, they don't necessarily consider things aggression that I would consider aggression, right? Like capitalist sort of like coercion,
financial
that
abuse.
We all like deal with on a day-to-day basis
that we're subjected to
under the current regime, right? It's not maybe the kind of direct violence that these people are referring to with guns and knives and bloodshed, but it's still coercion, it's still force, and they just don't believe in a government having a monopoly of force and using it in that way. Those are sort of the core ideological aspects that are important to understand. What is completely separate from that, that doesn't, almost no connection to that, is the modern Libertarian Party.
Sure, exactly.
Now, do you know about these guys?
No. I actively avoid that.
These are all our uncles. This is everybody's uncle, dude. It's a fun romp. I got some clips. We're gonna sort of set up something, because what Brett and I did is yesterday we attended the Missouri Libertarian Party convention.
Oh shit!
For the year of our Lord 2025. We went in person. I said, hello, my name is Jake Redpath. I'm a comedian, and I host a podcast called Jakin.Off, and I got some questions for you.
Yeah.
And they answered. We weren't doing any like gotcha shit, right?
We put up no front.
Yeah, we put up no front. We'll get into the details of the conference. That's what the next episode is going to be about. But today, we were hoping to talk to our friend Carlos and just show you some clips, explain to you how the Libertarian Party got to where it is today.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what
I'm here to learn, dude.
So Carlos, when did you move, like around the time that you're learning about libertarians? When was that? What year are we talking?
So like 2011, 2012.
Dude,
right? So
yes.
It was,
okay, the height of
Obama
Ron
election.
Paul.
Yes, exactly.
These guys loved Ron Paul,
yes,
didn't they? Okay. This is so amazing.
A lot of new Tea Party member type of people.
Exactly, dude. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. So Tea Party kind of people, those are still Republican conservatives. Because they're like very like religiously driven. But at this time, libertarians are like, this is like the middle of what they refer to themselves, not we, but them. They refer to it as the Ron Paul Revolution. So prior to Ron Paul, in 2008 is the first time he ran for president with the Republican Party. Prior to that, he was a member of the Libertarian Party. He had won in Texas. He was a senator. And he brought this sort of brand of libertarianism that is what linked libertarians to the right wing. He was kind of associated with like these neo-Confederate is what they would call them, but these like David Duke ass motherfuckers, Ku Klux Klan members, basically, were like the kind of conservatives that he was courting. This is from, oh gosh, dude, this is actually from this is from 2012. So here are These are 10 things that Ron Paul published in his newsletter that are just like illustrative of like what he believes. Yeah. So number 1 in this article is how to gun down an urban youth. And this is from the Ron Paul Political Report, October 1992, PDF under the subtitle "Blast 'em?" ? Well, I would say no. Hey, what happened to that whole non-aggression principle? Right?
So, okay, but wait, hold up. So who established that non-aggression principle? Like if that's a thing, like who decreed it so?
Who came up with the idea of the non-aggression principle? It's really old. We would be talking like John Locke, like
fucking
back in like some like classical libertarian, like we're talking like dude, even earlier than the 1800s, like 1600s, 1700s.
I didn't know this would go that far back.
Yeah. These are these. There are a lot of. It's difficult in the United States for any political ideology to not be heavily influenced by libertarianism, because there are a lot of classical libertarian ideals in our Constitution, right? And that is the one thing that I would say about a lot of the sort of classical libertarian ideology, is a lot of people are very idealistic in libertarian,
and that's why they don't want regulations and stuff.
Yeah, they really do believe that there is, some sort of version of the world that a monopoly of force to sort of ensure everybody's welfare is unnecessary. Like they don't think that it's necessary. And do I love the idea of a world like that? Sure. Like that sounds really nice. Do I think that world is possible today or tomorrow or anytime soon? Of course not.
No, absolutely.
Because I'm not fucking 12. Because I'm not a fucking teenager, and I don't believe
group projects in school, and I've seen how that shit goes.
Exactly. But the non-aggression principle is sort of like rooted in that, right? Obviously, that one didn't make it in.
Yeah.
They
dropped that one pretty quick.
That one hadn't really caught on by 1776, but. It's old. Like some of that stuff really is like foundational to America. Sure. I mean, it's
that's where the liberty comes from.
Yes, the liberty, and I've been thinking about this because they use all the lib words, right? They like liberty, liberal, libertarian, like all these, but none of them ever bring up liberation. That's
right.
Like one thing that I noticed is none of these guys talking about liberation of any kind, which I think is, I'm not an expert on words, but libertarian, liberation, those are the same root.
It's Latin based, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. But that's because I don't think that any of these people actually believe in that.
No, they're most into the set dressing.
Yeah, so these are just some stuff that Ron Paul published. September 1994, malicious gays spreading AIDS.
That's
how to shoot people, how to shoot black people specifically. The government created AIDS. Renaming New York City Rape Town, Zooville, or Welfaria.
That's insane.
Right,
dude. The performative nature of, oh my lordy.
Yes.
And that's all 1992?
This is like in the 1990s.
Yeah, that's
between
crazy.
1990 and like 1994, 95. Welfare checks ended the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Crazy. Nearly all black men in D.C. are semi-criminal or entirely criminal. Revolutionary Ron Paul, everybody. It's insane. It's fucking insane, dude. And in 2008 to 2012, Ron Paul, who was former libertarian, ran in the Republican primaries.
Sure.
And frankly, he was very successful. This stuff hounded him pretty bad. If you can imagine,
understandably so.
If you can imagine, most people did not look upon this.
Yeah, no, this is not going to land well with the general audience.
But he was able to peel off a decent amount of votes from the Republican Party. People were disillusioned, right, with the system. That's a big part of it. And he sort of the thing about libertarians is they it's very easy for them to give the allure of populism, right? Mm-hmm. Because they make it sound like we don't want anybody to come in and take your stuff.
Right, exactly.
Your stuff, that's like their whole thing. But the reason why it's not populism is because really what they're saying is we don't want anybody to come and take our stuff. Mm-hmm, exactly. And we got a lot of it.
It's rules for thee and not for me. Yeah,
exactly. And not only that, we want to be able to exploit labor.
Right.
We want to be able to exploit working class people. It's sort of just like a new way to do feudalism, right? It's like feudalism by corporation rather than by like, because you're the king's brother.
Or whatever.
That's really it. Yeah. It's just like a new version of feudalism.
And with all the Nepo babies, it is functionally still.
Yes.
Like your king's,
it's
brother.
very much we're moving towards living in a world that's like closely.
Yeah, I played Cyberpunk. I know where we're headed, dude.
Yeah. Really? You know what, guys? Turn off the podcast.
It's done.
Turn on Cyberpunk. Just to stop listening to the rest of this and just play Cyberpunk. You'll get it.
Yeah,
that's what these guys
start there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
it. Really,
the megacorps.
Yeah,
for sure.
Fucking what they do. So, just to sort of hammer home what a big piece of shit Ron Paul is.
Yes.
I want to play. This is a clip of him. I believe this is from 2008. It's either 2008 or 2012 Republican primary debate. And he gets asked a question about healthcare from this white-haired fucking gas bag. From this white-haired gas bag on CNN. Here it is.
Let me ask you this hypothetical question. A healthy 30-year-old young man has a good job, makes a good living, but decides, you know what? I'm not going to spend $200 or $300 a month for health insurance because I'm healthy. I don't need it. But, something terrible happens. All of a sudden, he needs it. Who's going to pay for if he goes into a coma, for example? Who pays for that?
In a society that you accept welfareism and socialism, he expects the government to take care of it.
What do you want?
But what he should do is whatever he wants to do and assume responsibility for himself. My advice to him would have a major medical policy, but not be forced.
But he doesn't have that. He doesn't have it, and he needs intensive care for 6 months. Who pays?
That's what freedom is all about, taking your own risk. This whole idea that you have to prepare and take care of everybody.
But, Congressman, are you saying the society should just let him die?
No.
Dude, all the Ron Paul fans in the back being like, yeah,
absolutely,
we're out for blood.
Holy shit, dude.
No aggression here, dude. We're just letting them die.
I practiced medicine before we had Medicaid in the early 1960s when I got out of medical school. I practiced at Santa Rosa Hospital in San Antonio, and the churches took care of them. We never turned anybody away from the hospital. And we've given up on this whole concept that we might take care of ourselves, assume responsibility for ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, our churches would do it. This whole idea, that's the reason the cost is so high. The cost is so high.
Yeah.
So I love how he's like, socialism bad, but then when the society comes together, it's good. And it's like,
dude, will you either turn me up, Brett, or turn up my headphones?
Your headphones are up all the way.
Dude.
Am I too quiet?
No, you could put your mic closer to your mouth. But
Yeah,
they're very directional microphones.
Okay.
Because they're music mics.
Yeah, they're 57s.
Yeah, the old 5.7s, dude. You know.
Come on, I know.
But since we sit so close to each other, we use these because they don't pick up the sound. But yeah, man, this guy's a fucking absolute ghoul. He's a fucking psychopath.
That's the kind of shit that was the scariest thing to find in America was the like. Because who's the mega pastor that kind of has that same like
Joel Osteen?
Yeah, dude, he smiles and there's like empty eyes and it's like, dude, like because like Rob Paul's like straight up being like, hey, fuck you should die.
Yes.
But like with his whole chest, like, oh, dude, they're dead inside.
And the people in the crowd being like, yeah, let him die.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, dude, I don't know, man. I feel like if you're telling people like, either buy a fucking health insurance policy or die. That feels a little aggressive. I'm not going to lie.
That
feels a little
coercive.
It feels like aggression. Maybe I'm crazy.
No.
Maybe
it's financial abuse.
Maybe I don't understand, but yeah. So it's just it's a good way to illustrate sort of like what what these people believe. So this is like the beginning of, this is the Ron Paul revolution, right? And so basically from this moment until like currently, what sort of had been happening with the Libertarian Party is that they went into this zone where they're just like debating stuff that's already been settled. It's like the most pointless shit of all time, dude. That doesn't matter. Yeah. They're debating things like, they're debating things like driver's licenses.
I was gonna say, that's one of the ones that are always like, you guys are fucking like idiots.
You know this clip then probably.
Was it the Gary Johnson?
Yeah, this is from back in
Mr.
2016.
Peterson, I have a feeling I know how this answer is going to be. Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car?
Hell no.
Dr. Feldman.
A car is like a gun or anything else. As long as you're using it right and not using it to hurt other people, you should have a right to use it. A license and a permit is just another way to get some money and inconvenience to people.
Mr. McAfee.
I don't think licenses are required. However, if you are under 16 and your parents say you can drive and you haven't done it before, you should put a flashing pink light on your roof at least so we can get out of your way. But that at the most.
Mr. Parrott.
Yeah, that's Mr. McAfee.
Yeah, he's suicided.
He's
right?
dead. Yeah, he's dead. Allegedly killed himself.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal, dude. If I was this guy, I would have killed myself a long time ago.
But he was like, did he like tweet about how like he was being followed and he like moved to Belize?
Dude, he murdered a guy in Belize and was like had to flee Belize. This is after after
I imagine, yeah.
No. This is after he murdered the guy.
Oh shit! What?
Yeah. So allegedly he murdered a guy. Alleged. He did it allegedly. No, he allegedly killed a guy in Belize and then was on the run from like whoever or whatever. Dude. And yeah, he killed himself or somebody shot him. I mean, like, really, frankly, it's the most inconsequential thing I could think of is how John McAfee died. How he lived, very interesting. Yeah. Having prostitutes shit on him through a hammock, allegedly. Again, allegedly, something that he allegedly did. You know what, Brett? Look up John McAfee hammock.
No, we already talked about this on the Cassie episode.
Oh, did we really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. I think that this is just one of those facts that's always in the forefront of my mind.
It's with Jakin.Off Nation. We know about.
Yeah, it's a recur. Yeah.
Yeah.
The hammock heads.
He would have prostitutes lay over him in a hammock and defecate on him.
But like
allegedly. In Belize, allegedly.
So like, but not through the cloth, right? So they would just be hanging on the hammock. And
or maybe it's like a rope hammock of some kind. I don't know, man. Look, that's all the information I have.
Yeah.
I've told you everything I know, Carlos.
We got to look into it more.
That's what I'm saying, Brett. Look up the hammock thing. See if you can find a picture of the hammock, dude. See if you can find
court evidence of the hammock. Yeah, this is evidence piece A.
They're like, would a man who gets shit on by prostitutes this much kill himself?
Probably.
But yeah, okay. While you look that up, Brett, I'm gonna play the rest of this clip because my favorite part of this is Gary Johnson at the very end.
The government requires licenses for far too many things. The government requires licenses for people to broadcast radio. The government requires licenses to get married. They require a license to drive. What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster? Absolutely not.
Oh, dude, that guy is so funny because he keeps doing air quotes around required.
Right.
And it's like, no, dude, it is required. You're doing the air quotes in the wrong spot.
No, but see, it's in his mind. He's defying it, right? Because it's not a real construct, dude. He's so brave.
Yeah. we talked to some people who are just like that guy. At the convention.
So at least someone's out there defending your right to toast your toast, all right?
It's in your toaster. They're going to fucking regulate your toaster. But I think next is Gary J, dude.
Absolutely not.
His ears are huge.
I was just thinking.
Governor?
I think government has a basic responsibility to protect us against individuals, groups, corporations, foreign governments that would do us harm. In that context, a license to drive, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
I said it.
As governor of New Mexico, I vetoed a whole lot of bills. I vetoed the haircutting license. I vetoed all sorts of licensing, but...
Dude, you can tell that he vetoed the haircutting license. Look at that fucking ugly ass haircut.
Yeah, that's
gross.
The end result.
Yeah,
of that,
no
dude.
shit. We all knew you vetoed the haircutting license, Gary Johnson.
Oh my god.
You went to fucking Great Clips, you idiot.
Yeah, he's covered by big hair.
As governor of New Mexico, I vetoed a whole lot of bills. I vetoed the haircutting license. I vetoed all sorts of licensing, but license to drive? I mean, you could, arguably, you could have an insurance requirement, I guess, that then the insurance company would determine. I mean, you got people that are blind that would be on the road, I think, that would actually continue to drive until they hurt somebody. I think...
We
let the blind people, dude. That's so ableist of him, dude.
booed,
Fucking, it's ableist to not let blind people drive.
But dude, that's the kind of shit. I mean, that's from 2016. But this is the kind of shit that these people are litigating in these spaces, right? And it's like that's done with. Dude, people, when cars got invented and people started killing each other, everybody was like, we gotta rein this in. And that's what we did. That's why we have driver's licenses. Yeah. It's already been sorted out, and yet they're like, we gotta overturn some of the most basic, like, settled aspects of our society.
Well, because again, it's conceptual, right? Because to them, it's just having a rule at all is like no.
Yeah,
and it's like that's fucking. But then, they, like you said, it's like they want rules to protect them.
Yeah.
It's there's a guy who has the same name as another guy, and they often get confused. So I don't know who it is, but his quote is that like these kinds of people want a law that binds and protects an in group, but disregards an out group.
And you know what, Carlos? That's very astute, because why else would quote unquote neo-Confederates, right? These Ku Klux Klan members.
Yeah.
Why for what other reason than what you just described would they be aligning themselves with libertarian ideology, right? Mm-hmm. And it's because in politics there's what are called, and this was actually this is a huge concept within the white supremacy community, is fellow travelers, right? And the idea of a fellow traveler is that like they as a white supremacist, you might be interacting with somebody who isn't a white supremacist, but their ideas and the things that they believe are very, very much so a safe space for white supremacy to inhabit and grow, right? And this exists with other ideologies too, like the Chinese Communist Party, for example. One of the ways that they maintain political hegemony is not by necessarily squashing out every single little new idea or new thing that comes around, but oftentimes they will co-opt them and consume them, right? This happens across the political spectrum, but with guys like this, these people are seen as fellow travelers, so to speak, by somebody like David Duke, by people who want to do exactly what you're saying, which is like segregation,
like
that kind of
just
stuff.
Laws that, there's only the divine few.
Exactly.
And then there's the rest of us.
Yeah, precisely. And so a good way to sort of, I don't know, distract everybody would be to have them argue about driver's licenses.
Because when you bring it back to that, you have to like establish, like you said, things that have already been established. So you're retreating.
Here's another prime example. This is from the same debate, the same year. And in this clip, they're asked a question about the Civil Rights Act, of 1964. Again, 2016. This isn't the 1960.
It wasn't even 10 years ago,
debate.
you know?
Yeah, this is in 2016.
Governor Johnson. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 ended discrimination in both the private sector and the public sector. Senator Barry Goldwater voted against it for libertarian reasons. He did not feel it was the government's job to tell a private business owner what to do. Senator Al Gore Sr. voted against it because he opposed integration. If you had been in the Senate, how would you have voted?
I would have voted for it.
Gary Johnson stands on business, dude.
No
That's my guy, dude.
Nope. You still have more time? Okay.
They even let him. They're like, "Do you want to say more?" And
no
he's
elaboration?
Like, I don't think I need to.
Yeah, dude.
Nope.
You still have more time? Okay.
Wow, dude.
Mr. Peterson.
Repeat the question one more time. It was kind of winding.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964 ended discrimination in both the private sector and the public sector. Senator Barry Goldwater voted against it for libertarian reasons, feeling that it wasn't the government's job to tell a private owner what to do. Senator Al Gore Sr. voted against it because he imposed racial integration. How would you have voted had you been in the Senate?
Wait, you just...
I'm sorry?
You're asking whether or not I would have signed the civil rights legislation in 1964.
1964, yes.
Yes, I would have signed.
Which is what you said, right. Mr. Peterson, would you have signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which ended discrimination in both the public and private sectors?
Well, the senator has the power of the filibuster, so I would have filibustered until we abolished Title II, and then we would have gotten rid of the government discrimination.
As many of you know, my wife is black. And having
John McAfee.
Oh my God.
She unfortunately does not like to take shits on me when she's in the hammock and I am underneath.
Unfortunately, my wife is black and a decent person.
Oh my God.
And she's a decent human being that won't poop on me through a hammock.
you know, my wife is black. And having spent 3.5 years living 24 hours a day with her, I can assure you that legislation in no way ended discrimination.
He's like, yeah, because I'm still discriminating against my wife.
I see it every day, dude.
Guys, I promise I am not treating her very good.
I'm doing my part. Oh my God, dude.
He's such a little fucking weirdo.
In no way ended
He's on all your computers.
What it did is bring to the awareness that it is here, but discrimination will not end until you open your heart and your mind and your judgment to a person of another color, another race, another language, another religion.
It's all about love.
It's like talking
man.
to children.
So, something I noticed about that in that clip is there were claps, but a lot of people did not clap with as much as enthusiasm as some of his previous answers.
Yeah. Well, also the way that they set up the question at the beginning, Larry Elder, who's like again another like prominent libertarian thought leader. I use the word thought very lightly.
He has thoughts.
Yeah. He definitely there thought in the sense that there are brainwaves that exist.
Conceptualized.
There's enough brainwaves that existing to keep him alive. Well, he might be dead, which if so, good riddance. But if he's not, somebody get on it. I'm not saying that somebody should kill Larry Elder, but I am saying that I love Jodie Foster.
Yeah, what is stochastic terrorism?
I love Jodie Foster. That's a good one. That's a deep cut, dude. No libertarian is cool enough to understand that joke. But yeah, he sets up the question by saying Barry Goldwater voted against the Civil Rights Act for libertarian reasons. And then he says Al Gore Sr. voted against the Civil Rights Act because he's against integration, a.k.a. segregation. It's like, that's also a libertarian reason, dude. libertarians don't think that the government, this is like one of the big libertarian issues is education, right? Like,
yeah.
And a lot of that is rooted in, as we've talked about previously on this episode, a lot of that is rooted in federalism and this sort of notion of, like active control over schools is like slipping away, and so you got to homeschool your kids, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, you got to teach them what's right.
Yes, and in the 70s, religious schools were still segregated, and they lost their tax exempt status if they didn't desegregate, and so they were called. I can't remember the name. We talked about it before on this podcast, but they basically, they like all of these conservative and libertarian people came out against these schools losing their tax exempt status,
right?
Because they're saying they should be allowed to. You shouldn't be allowed to tell a business that they can't refuse somebody service because they're black,
right? Which
is wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. It's like, dude, I think that a lot of these people view it as like legislating morality or something like that. And I got to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, if we collectively come together and say racism is wrong and
right.
you shouldn't be allowed to discriminate against people, and we decide that as, like, whatever, a community, a state, whatever you want to put on it, like, then yeah, we should be allowed to enforce that on you, because guess what, bud? Your business, it's not just in a vacuum. Okay?
No, exactly.
We live in the fucking world.
You live in the web, dude. We're all connected. That's the thing, dude. It's like, but that's the problem. Is that I always say is that America's just too big of a country, dude. People are too far apart, so they don't realize that, right? It's like a lot of them just fucking think that, like, oh, dude, I live in my suburbs with like the 8 other houses. And fucking, but like, no, dude, you're part of a larger thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You're part of a larger thing, and we're coming to take everything you got.
Yeah, dude.
Jakin.Off.Podcast is coming for all your shit. But yeah, man, that's sort of like what, that's like where these guys were at until, so the Libertarian Party, right? Like, nobody's taking this seriously, dude.
Right.
There's nobody turning on their fucking TV in 2020 and watching guys talk about whether we should have driver's licenses,
yeah, dude,
and being like, yeah, these are, I mean, there are people who do turn that on and do think that they're serious.
Dozens.
That's part of the funny part about it. But it's like, no, like, significant amount of actual people are like, yeah, we shouldn't have driver's licenses.
Right.
It's fucking dumb as fuck. But that's the sort of stuff that they were litigating until very recently. So in 2022, there was a takeover of the Libertarian Party by this new sort of section of the party called the Mises Caucus. And the name of it isn't important. It's based off of like some stupid libertarian bullshit. It's like, it's like trying to explain it would take so much longer than it's worth.
Sure.
Yeah, like, it's just not worth it.
It's just a deep cut.
They're called the Mises Caucus. And this is like Dave Smith, the comedian Dave Smith, if you're familiar with him. And like some other guys. I'll play a clip from Libertarian Reason TV.
Fuck.
Have you ever seen Reason
No.
TV? It's like a libertarian version of
Like PBS
Vox or something.
Oh,
or
sure.
like,
okay.
Like something like that.
Vulture or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're like they're the adults in the room.
They got the finger on the pulse of libertarian issues.
But it's going to sort of do a good job of explaining it. But essentially what these guys do is they welcome in all of these like far right wing influences into the party, right? So things like anti-immigration. One of the things that they call for is like they want immigration to be like handled by people living at the border. Yeah. So like they think that it should be like a property rights thing. Like, these guys can't come over this border because this is these people's property.
And if they make it through, like, they've earned it. They get to their property rights weren't good. Dude, no, that's
exactly.
That might be
they pretty much took anything, because one of the things that was attractive to most regular people about libertarians up until this point is their stances on like something like abortion, right? A lot of libertarians were like, we love abortion. We think abortion is fine. Like you should do it. Yeah. Their stances on things like gay rights and trans rights, they were very socially liberal. That is like
the classic socially liberal, fiscally conservative.
That's where they get the Republicans that like weed. Yeah. Right? That's where the weed comes in. Yeah. Is that they don't think that there should be government regulation to social decisions that don't impact anyone beside yourself, right?
Sure.
And another consenting adult, maybe in the case of gay marriage. That is like the only area where I can find agreement with libertarians. And the reality though is that we don't get there. We don't get to those endpoints through the same path, right? Like they view it as like an anti-government thing. Exactly. I view it as just like a humanist kind of like, everybody deserves to like.
Well, because your approach is different. Because their idea is you get rid of the laws. Your ideas is like we implement laws to protect those things, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Or just we don't repeal things that already exist that allow them to do that. We don't go back and send the country into the fucking past. But yeah, exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, Carlos. There's some silly guys.
There's a couple goofy goobers.
Silly, goofy guys. And it all sort of culminated in 2024 at the Libertarian Party National Convention. Donald Trump actually showed up and spoke at the convention.
Oh, shit.
And vied for the Libertarian Party's nomination, even though the Republican Party doesn't allow candidates to have 2 nominations, so he couldn't technically get it without losing the Republican nomination.
Sure, but I guess it was just to get support for him
as a person, publicity stunt. Yeah. And he was sort of invited by these people from the Mises Caucus.
Yeah.
So here's a video on that. This one's kind of a bit longer.
Mises, that's a good drag queen name.
Yeah, Mises.
The Mises Caucus, yeah.
But if you, at any point, if you want to stop, just like give me a signal, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot to say about this.
Oh, God.
The change in strategy began when a group called the Mises Caucus took over the leadership of the LP at the 2022 convention in Reno, Nevada.
But I will move heaven and earth to make this thing functional and not embarrassing for you.
It modeled itself after Ron Paul's presidential campaigns, by emphasizing a non-interventionist foreign policy that sets it apart from both major parties, as the podcast host Dave Smith told Reason.
The priorities of the Mises Caucus have always been basically the priorities of the Ron Paul revolution, which were being anti-war, being sound Austrian economics.
The new LP invited in social conservatives by removing abortion rights from the party platform and attempting to do the same with open immigration.
And when you put open borders plus pro-abortion in there, again, it kind of forms a cultural hegemony for one side that might not be indicative of the wider libertarian movement.
I do just want to point out that guy who was just talking.
Yeah.
He is wearing a shirt that says JBP's Lobster Shack, like Jordan B. Peterson's Lobster Shack.
Wait, like as in the Dr. Jordan Peterson?
As in the Dr. Jordan Peterson. Yeah, he's wearing a shirt that
he has a Lobster Shack
that says we'll see if we can
hierarchical.
He doesn't have a Lobster Shack. JBP's hierarchical Lobster Shack. Yeah. Because Jordan Peterson has a whole shit about lobsters, and it says in Toronto. So just to give you an idea of what this guy,
the quality of intellectualism that we're dealing with.
Guy can't get no pussy.
Yeah,
this guy can't get no pussy. He loves Jordan Peterson. Yeah, for real. You were at JBP's Lobster Shack. Did you find the shirt?
Yeah. So it's obviously just a shirt that they're selling on Threadless or whatever, but it's just because of some
Imagine buying a bootleg Jordan Peterson shirt, dude,
to illustrate some bullshit that probably doesn't actually have any science backing.
It's like, actually in nature, lobsters don't have sex with women.
They have sex with Colin Farrell.
Just like you.
Actually, lobsters don't need women. They call them whores.
Oh, no.
That's the kind of stuff he says. I mean, it's not far off. I feel like whatever the lobster thing is, that whatever I just said is basically it.
Yeah,
it's gotta be something like that. Like lobsters actually are the only species that call women whores naturally. The females, lobsters. I don't know. Something
sounds right.
I saw his wife talk. I saw Jordan Peterson and Jordan Peterson's wife talk live in person.
What at a fucking
at the ice rink out here in Independence, Missouri, dude, where the Missouri Mavericks
the Cable
play.
Dahmer Arena.
I saw Jeffrey Dahmer Arena. Dude, I kept calling it Jeffrey Dahmer Arena, dude. It was domed out that night. There were a lot of Dahmers there.
It was domed out.
Yeah, there's what episode is that? God,
I think it was like 53 or something around there.
A minute
with
ago.
Scarborough, you talked about it.
I talked about it with Evan. It would have been an Evan Christian Golt because Evan dropped me off there, and we were like shocked by the amount of traffic.
Okay, that's what it was.
The traffic pattern is like fucked up, but dude, it was backed all the way up to the highway. And at first, we were like, God, what's this traffic for? And then as we got closer, we were like, oh no, it's for the Jordan Peterson event. But yeah, JBP's hierarchical lobster shack. What a piece of shit.
Libertarian movement.
This alienated libertarians who view social freedoms as core to the political philosophy, as did the LP's brazen new approach to social media, such as when the New Hampshire LP gloried in a photo of Meghan McCain crying over her father's casket.
That's pretty funny.
The Mises Caucus leadership vowed to clean up its messaging and grow the party's members.
That's actually really funny.
No, this is what it's worse when they're funny.
It's like not good. It's like I don't agree with why they're doing it, but it is sort of funny to
technically
be like,
from a technical standpoint. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me go back and see what the tweet said.
It just said Happy Holidays.
Happy Holidays. Meghan McCain crying over her dead dad's casket.
These guys got some real taste.
Dude, yeah, they sure do, don't they?
McCain crying over her
if
father's
I was running
casket.
a political party, I don't
the
think
Mises
I would
Caucus
do that.
leadership vowed to clean up its messaging and grow the party's membership and
so.
fundraising to unprecedented levels.
By our fruits you'll know us.
Internal documents show that candidates, fundraising, and membership have plummeted since the takeover, and state affiliates have continued their online provocation. But supporters predicted in 2024 we'd see a turnaround.
Now I think you should nominate me or at least vote for me, and we should win together.
How do you think things are going for the LP?
I mean, things are never really going good for the LP. You know what I mean? That's what we do. We're here, we lose. That's what libertarians do, all of us.
How do you think things are going relatively since the takeover that happened at Reno?
I think there's been progress in a lot of ways. There's been challenges in a lot of ways. I think running a third party is not easy, and especially when all of the rules are stacked against you. And then we've also had to deal with, let's say, a very hostile environment from many other self-described libertarians, including pieces like this. It's been very eye-opening to me to see over the last few years how vicious like some of the smears that are launched at us are. And I was very unhappy with Brian Daugherty, particularly for the piece he ran about us in Reno.
Why is that? What was the problem?
Oh, it's just the constant insinuations that like we're some type of Ku Klux Klan type group, which is
Yeah, you know, the cornerstone of the Ron Paul revolution.
Right, yeah, it's just
shooting black people.
Yeah, you know. Oh, dude, come on. You know what? I should say, maybe it's unfair of me to have not brought this up already. Ron Paul did defend himself by saying, hey, that was published by somebody who's not me. It's like, well, it's still got your name on it, pal.
You can't do the shaggy defense for like racism.
And they never, it's like they didn't walk it back. They didn't say like, hey, you know, by the way, next Ron Paul's newsletter, 2012, hey guys, we said some stuff back in the 90s.
Yeah.
That we disagree. It was a renegade staffer. It's obviously not true. It's stuff that Ron Paul, I'm sure that he was like, yeah, run it. we need to shoot black
who
people.
gives a shit? Yeah.
Yeah, like every black person in DC is a criminal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. And so this notion, this is what the problem with these people is, right? Is like they're always like, "Oh, it's all about like personal accountability or whatever." And it's like, look in the mirror, dude.
Yeah.
You're your biggest fans are the KKK. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not people aren't making that up, right? And
Right.
it's because you guys are fellow travelers of those people, right? As is the Republican Party and like the MAGA movement,
right? Exactly,
and stuff like that. Which is why what we're seeing in the Libertarian Party is this coalescing with the Republicans, which is exactly what this is about.
But do you think this coalescing is eventually going to lead with like these people leaving the Libertarian, just becoming Republicans, and leaving the remnants of the to be this pure libertarian force? You know, that's where Gary Johnson can get in.
I think that what is happening to the Libertarian Party is exactly what I was describing earlier with the Chinese Communist Party doing this with other political movements that might crop up. They're just co-opting it, right? Like it's because if the Libertarian Party continued to exist on its like alternative track where they still stayed true to their values regarding the social issues, it was always going to be a problem for Republicans because it gave people who were fiscally conservative and socially liberal an alternative to vote for Republicans. And so what I am my hypothesis or my allegation is that these guys are getting totally cucked by the Republican Party from the inside. Like it like the MAGA ideology has infected some of these people with power and control of the Libertarian Party, or they got power and control after sort of these ideas came to them or you know, quote unquote, infected them. And they are now sort of operatives like of the Republican Party within the Libertarian Party.
So the patients are running the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Useful idiots would be the word that would be used.
Lemmings.
Yeah. Lemmings, sheep, shills. But let's see. I don't remember much more what comes after this. Oh, they talk about this very anti-Semitic cartoon. This is pretty interesting.
Klan type group, which is very bizarre to me. I'm like a Jewish kid from Brooklyn, and I would guarantee I have more black friends than everybody who works at Reason magazine.
I have a lot of black friends. Which is like a very
weird kind of
are
like
you
thing.
bothered?
How could I be racist?
Wait, so what's
people
Reason?
Are bothered by some
this
of the
is the Libertarian show. Okay,
this is the Libertarian outlet. Yeah, Reason
okay.
magazine, Reason TV. They're just a libertarian sort of media
But they're
outlet.
like the new libertarians because that's why he's beefing with
Well,
them.
they would argue that they're the old libertarians and that these guys that are doing this MAGA shit are the new ones.
Right, but he's not part of the MAGAs.
This guy?
Right.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's sort of like seen as like this sort of thought leader of the Libertarian Party.
So this is Dave Smith.
Yeah, this is Dave Smith.
Okay,
He's considered sort of like a thought leader of the Libertarian Party. He's certainly like I would say at least like a spokesperson for them.
Sure, he's an influential figure.
Yeah, an influential figure. They wanted him to run for president at one point. He opted not to. I think it was 2024. They wanted him to run for president, and he stepped aside, and then that's when Donald Trump kind of got into the picture. Yeah.
You snooze, you lose.
You snooze, you lose, Dave.
I have more black friends than everybody who works at Reason magazine. So it's just like a very weird kind of
are
like
you
thing.
bothered? I guess the people are bothered by some of the social media messaging. I think that's what a lot of it boils down to. A lot of stuff that comes out of the state affiliates. There has been stuff that's been like borderline anti-Semitic. Like does that bother you? Is there any way to...
Well, what was borderline anti-Semitic?
There was one that came out of Michigan where it was like, a like Hasidic Jew or something holding like...
So this is first of all, this isn't borderline anti-Semitic.
Right, yeah.
This is just blatant anti-Semitism, right? It's a Hasidic Jewish person holding an elephant in a donkey puppet.
Yeah.
Clearly like a reference to like Jews controlling everything. and it says left or right, the Zionists always get what they want, right? And this is an example of people using the term Zionism to refer to like all Jews, which Zionists are not all Jews. Not all Jewish people are Zionists.
Yeah, not all rectangles are squares.
And he's going to go on to defend this as like, well, what? We can't accuse the country of Israel for controlling like the two parties, but it's like, how about you just put Benjamin Netanyahu in there, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to like put a Hasidic Jewish person in there. There are real people that you could put in your cartoon that would make it A, more impactful, and B, like more honest, and C, not anti-Semitic.
Right, exactly. But
methinks it might be about the anti-Semitism.
It is. It's a dog whistle.
Yeah,
that's it's how far can we get there? To get those
bets of the Democrats and the Republicans. It's like, I don't know, that looks very much like the Jews are puppet masters.
Yeah, that's probably a stupid tweet, but I think the comment there was clearly, at least my guess is the attempt is to say that like Israel's influence over U.S. foreign policy, which is pretty undeniable, right? You just talked to Thomas Massey, who had a foreign lobby putting millions of dollars to primary him and thankfully failed. But so if you have a situation like that, what is it? We're not allowed to make the comment that like, hey, this foreign nation seems to have some control.
I think you're allowed to make the comment. It's more the way that you make the comment, the way that's interpreted, and then these are often the tweets that end up going viral because everyone's like, look at what the libertarians are all about now, and that's what gets people uncomfortable.
I get your point, and the truth is that we probably agree on 100% of the tweets that you would be like,
not right now in this interview, but like,
but I also recognize that it's like, and I feel some ownership over this because a lot of these are like my guys.
What do you think about Trump being here?
It's interesting. I'm very interested to see how it's going to go. It's I think there's the analogy that I used on my podcast was I was like, it's throwing the ball downfield. Like if you're a football fan, it's like we're definitely going for it. This convention represents kind of something that never would have happened under the old guard, where we're making attempts to kind of be involved in the broader political conversation.
Yeah, AKA just turn this into populism. Like the Republican Party.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so that's, he goes on more and more. This is just like a big, long interview with this guy. Vivek Ramaswamy was there. He talks about nationalism. Nationalism? What? Where have I heard that? Interesting. But yeah, man, they basically, in 2022, these people took control, and their whole entire idea was to invite the Republican Party in. And that's what they did. And then we went and saw it for ourselves at the Missouri Libertarian Party convention yesterday.
Well, how long were you there?
All day.
It was like 7. Well, were we there 7? I think driving it was 7 hours.
Did you have to like go to the car to put on some NPR every once in a while?
No, we actually didn't give ourselves a break at all, because the only time we left the place was to go to lunch, and we just went to Cracker Barrel, which might as well have been
functionally the same thing.
The same people were there, the same demographic. But we're going to talk more about what we actually did at the Libertarian Party convention next episode. But Carlos, this is your chance. If you got anything to plug, where can people find you? Where can they find your shit?
I'm on Instagram at just Carlos Chamon. We're doing the Fountain City Comedy Festival this year, so apply-go to the shows. And yeah, thank you for having me, buddy.
Yeah, of course. We'll put links to Carlos's socials in the description of this episode. And as always, you guys can follow this podcast at Jakin.Off.Podcast. You can send anything at all to Jakin.Off.Podcast at gmail.com. I'll look at it at least once. That's the Jakin.Off guarantee, is I'll look at it at least one time.
If you make it spicy, I'll go back for seconds.
Yeah, but not too spicy. We don't want to invite any potential libertarians listening to this to send us
a bot.
Yeah, dude. The last thing we want is those people digging deep onto their hard drives.
I don't know. I kind of want to hear anyone who's a libertarian who's listening to this just rebuttal anything that we've talked about in this episode with some facts. I'd love to see that attempt.
Yeah, or even if it's just with how you feel, honestly. I would love to
I
hear.
didn't like how it made me feel.
Honestly, your argument doesn't even have to be rooted in reality at all. If you have anything to say to me, just send it to the email.
Yeah. You could be featured on the next episode.
Anything to say to me, just send it to the email. And
oh, dude, that's the segment. You just read the letters.
Yeah, the libertarian letters.
We'll have a third part.
The LLs. Yeah, so that's the end of the episode. Brett, you got anything?
Oh, stay tuned for next week, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you guys are really in for a treat. But that's the end of it. Thank you so much for listening. I love you very much. I love you. Bye-bye.